How do I? Hello, YouTube. Just trying to figure out the camera settings here, which is not really doing much, unfortunately. All right, we just have a technical difficulty. I don't know what's up with this camera. I know Zoom can see me, but unfortunately, let me see. All right, well, I guess we might have to do this without camera. Sorry, everyone. Good morning. Some technical difficulties here, but let's just get started. We have a pretty strong market update for you today. We have a pretty good market update in terms of what happened. So yesterday, we actually did manage to see very interesting news. On March 26, 2020, Jerome Powell said that the Federal Reserve is actually working hard to support you now. He also said that the policies will be very important when the recovery does come to make that recovery as strong as possible. So what he's doing is trying to help the general populace. Stimulus packages have been thrown out. And let's just see what he has to say. So there was a huge interview yesterday with Jerome Powell, and in recent weeks, economists have grappled with the magnitude of the outbreak's current and future effect on the U.S. economy. So Jerome Powell has his own assessment, saying that this downturn is just inevitable, and it's also unprecedented. Now, what is super interesting is that he said that we may be in a recession, quote unquote, we may be in a recession, which was later confirmed by other US Feds, even this morning, that the US is actually entering a recession. But he also said, I would point to the difference between this and a normal recession. There is nothing fundamentally wrong with our economy. Quite the contrary. We are starting from a very strong position. So this is self-propelled and controlled recession from what we've been told. Now, we're going to have to wait for the GDP numbers to dictate this. Remember, 2 negative quarters is technically a recession. So it's a forced recession based on the Fed's ability to combat this coronavirus thing. So the virus is dictating the future, and they're forcing this recession. So what we see is the coronavirus will dictate this future, economically and otherwise. So the spread of the virus is now exponentially increasing in the US, the US being the most effective infected country in the world, surpassing China, and the NYC being the epicenter of this all. Just yesterday, we had about 14,000 new cases hitting the US, pushing the numbers to about 85,000 in the US, surpassing China. China's 80,000. The numbers have started to decrease slowly in China. There is still moderate growth, but it's very, very muted. So US and China representatives agreed to work together to fight the virus due to most of the cases being from overseas travelers, while European officials are still struggling to find a way to move forward, the corona bonds being the main sticking point in a lot of these European meetings. Now, the House is set to pass the $2 trillion stimulus package today and send it to the White House for President Trump's signature. The economic slowdown is moving at an exponential rate, which pushes the speed of the program to help businesses and those unemployed as soon as possible in the coming weeks rather than months. So there's a little skepticism over Trump's recent call of getting money into individuals' hands. So about $1,200 of it, I believe, within 2 weeks, which is not so much of a different claim than those made in Canada and the rest of the world. Now, the Fed's balance sheet exploded by more than $500 billion over the past week, roughly twice the pace of the next largest weekly expansion during the global financial crisis. Total assets held by central banks topped $5 trillion for the first time as it attempts to keep credit flowing to all corners of the market, including treasuries, commercial paper, and municipal bonds. So yesterday in the Today Show interview with Jerome Powell, he said there was essentially no limit to the Fed's emergency lending ability and doesn't see inflation resulting from current policies. So what he's technically saying is they'll pump as much money as it takes without immediate consequences, which is a very interesting and bold statement. In other news, we know that oil has been nosediving recently. What's going on there? Some oil troubles. A new OPEC Plus deal to balance oil markets might be possible if other countries join in, according to Kirill Dmitriev, the head of the Russia's sovereign wealth fund. So Dmitriev and Energy Minister Novak were Russia's top negotiators in the production cut deal with OPEC, which sets the pact to expire at the end of March 31st. So the real question is who would be the new members of this OPEC Plus deal. Now, President Trump said last week that he would get involved in the Saudi-Russia oil price war at an appropriate time amid Moscow's longstanding frustrations with the rapidly growing U.S. shale. I feel like the world has enough of a dilemma right now to be jumping into different pricing wars. So I think number one, get this coronavirus under control, and then we can focus on other things. Just my opinion. The collapse in the price of crude is leading to rapid reduction in oil production at many American sites, with the industry braced for the biggest idling of wells in 35 years. So that is a substantial new news point that was hit. In the world of physical delivery of oil, a barrel is trading way below the benchmark spot price with substantial discounts offered for cargoes. So there's no sign of relief in sight, while a barrel of West Texas Intermediate for May delivery is trading at around $22.50, I believe, this morning, while the meltdown prices remain low on policymakers' lists of priorities. So again, priorities, naturally, coronavirus stuff, right? Interesting comment, Maximus. You're never going to get rid of the virus without a cure. Vaccine does not eradicate it. Nice. So yeah, there's a lot of companies now fighting for the vaccine. I think Moderna is one of them. We'll see what that brings us. Now, a very interesting little fun fact throughout this morning update amidst all this doom and gloom and all this news. But in recent months and weeks, we have all been using Zoom. We use it every day in our trading room. And I know a lot of schools have been using it. A lot of companies, everyone working from home is now using Zoom. So the interesting aspect, remember when Zoom actually IPO'd first, ticker symbol ZM, that's Zoom, not ticker symbol ZOOM, which is Zoom Technologies. So the interesting bit is that the same confusion happened again. So back when Zoom actually IPO'd, people were buying ZOOM instead of ZM, thinking that it was Zoom rather than the other company. So the the SEC suspended trading in the largely defunct Zoom Technologies, ticker symbol ZOOM, once a distributor of wireless products after widespread confusion with popular video conferencing company Zoom Video Communications, ticker symbol ZM, the Zoom that we all use, which has seen a sharp rise in usage and stock price amid the COVID-19 epidemic, so pandemic. That suspension lasts until April 8th, hopefully giving everyone enough time to learn who is who. So the difference between ZOOM and ZM. So there's still confusion. So over the past 3 months, Zoom Video Communications has risen 109%, while Zoom Technologies went from $1.26 on an intraday high to $60 last Friday. That's obscene. So people think ZOOM ticker symbol is the same as ZM. So in terms of the wrap up here in the current market conditions, we have a pretty substantial downside from yesterday's previous day high in the S&P. We are slowly grinding to the downside based on yesterday's climb. Right now we're trading 25.16 quarter to the downside overnight low on the S&P. So we're trying to break through that 2,500 yet again as we desperately climb through that 2,600 yesterday. So over 100-point drop here overnight, 150 15-point drop or so. And we could see a little more downside. It's going to be very interesting to see how the week closes. We'll see if we close on a bad note or on a good note. If we close on a good note, I think there's a little more upside to be had in the next few days, especially next week. So that's all I had today. Thank you for joining us on YouTube Live. Again, a little technical difficulty. I could not set up the camera for some reason, and you guys saw nothing. But I hope everyone enjoyed this, and we will see everyone on Monday, and we're going to get ready for our live trading room right now. So take care, everyone. Thank you, and goodbye.